All right, guys, we are live, episode 181 of the Shooter's Mindset. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Co-host Nikki Clevenger's in the house. What's going on?
Hey, y'all.
They're waiting for me to screw up Trenton's last name, and I'm trying. I wanted to just introduce him first, so I didn't ruin it because I got it in my head right now. But if I stick with the usual, I usually talk about the co-host and the guest last, and I'm probably going to ruin it. But Jennifer Seymour's joining us also last minute. What's going on, Jen?
Hey, everybody.
Star of the hour here. Trenton Mitsuoka. Did I get it? No, I didn't.
Close. Where did Soka come from?
I was thinking about Mitsubishi. I was thinking about that example. And then
Mitsuoka.
There you go. Mitsuoka.
Mitsuoka.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, well, it's classic fashion. I haven't ruined a name in a while on the show, actually.
It's a tough one.
I pretty much nailed them all for the last, 10 shows.
With the Japanese last names, it's there's too many consonants together or too many vowels. Or
no, I had it. I should have just announced you first, and I would have had it. So,
listen, forget introducing Nikki and Jen. Everybody knows who we are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I should have done it. All right, whatever. We got to go in here. Hopefully, I'll pick it up throughout the show. I think. All right. The show's sponsored by the folks over at Tactical Shit. Shop.tacticalshit.com. Got a couple emails. They got some new steel targets in. They got what else? They got some assault shoes. So new footwear over at the folks over at Tactical Shit. Check them out. We have a discount code coming for them later on in the show. Also, questions and any questions you guys have, make sure to plug them in over on the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page. We have a post that just went live where you can post those in the comment section, and Jen will grab them throughout the show. Also, if you're on the YouTube side of things, in the top right-hand corner somewhere on that screen, you can join the conversation. And I will open that right now and try to grab your questions as you post them. And lastly, the shootersmindset.com. We have a bunch of new products going up on the shootersmindset.com. We got some new shirts and hats from Gear Nation USA. Really cool, kind of Miami vibe. I call it the Miami vibe colors from Gear Nation USA. We also got some new TTI stuff coming out at the Shooters Mindset shop. They have the M&P Shield base pads coming out. I know everyone owns an M&P Shield, or there's tons of them. I sell a ton of them. So very popular carry gun, and you need some +2 capacity, so TTI has it. Also, all your blog needs. We got some blogs over there. We got a great one that went up a couple weeks ago from Jessica Nitzel on getting into shooting sports and kind of getting over that initial fear of entering some shooting sports and what to expect and how to go about it. That's a good article. And lastly, all your Shooter's Mindset show needs. So if you need to catch up on some of the past episodes of the Shooter's Mindset, you can also do so over on the website or on YouTube. All right. For those who are unfamiliar with you, Trenton, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what got you into competitive shooting?
All right. It was probably 6 years ago. I bought a pistol and realized it was hard to shoot, and I like the challenge of it. And I grew up doing judo. I guess I should mention that. That's a big part of my life. I grew up doing judo, competing in judo. Judo and shooting are sort of similar in that you learn techniques that might be considered dangerous, but there's a time and a place, and it's more of you sort of testing yourself, and there's a lot of similarities in the types of things that we do. So I found out that the stuff that I learned doing judo crossed over to the shooting sports. I guess the difference was when I did judo, I didn't necessarily enjoy myself every minute of every judo session. It was something that my family did, and that's what I was required to do growing up, was to do judo. And but I had a lot of life lessons sort of beaten into me on the mat, and judo competitions. And but when I found the shooting sports, going to practice is not pulling teeth out for me. I love to go practice. It's hardly, could hardly even call it practice, because it's still fun for me. And so I have, with that passion, added to sort of the things that I learned to do competing in judo, I've found myself very successful at the shooting sports. And, the next thing you knew, I had won 3 world speed shoot, trophies here from the World Speed Shooting Championships in the open rimfire rifle division. I've suddenly found myself included with some of the fastest rimfire shooters out there, and it was all sort of thanks to judo and the things that I learned doing that, and that's sort of where I've gotten to now. Is I never would have imagined that it would take me to see places across the nation, and then now just last weekend in Europe, and never thought that was how far the rabbit hole went. And it was just simply, I just enjoy myself out there doing that. So and part of that is I like the competing. I like to compete, and this is sort of how I've
It's an
gotten.
addiction.
Yeah, I
was gonna say, you keep saying all the correct terms, like the rabbit hole and everything like that. Like exactly what it is.
Yeah, and a few years ago I had started doing well locally, and was wondering like how far the rabbit hole went, and I had started to go to bigger competitions and sort of sniffing out what par level was like. And as I see in judo, you learn by mimicry. They teach you to do techniques by showing you, and so I could just watch the best shooters in the world and go, oh, I'm gonna incorporate that, or I like what that looks faster than what I'm doing, and then I would go and I'd practice. It's just like judo. You do things over and over and over until you can just do it without thinking. Thinking takes too long. You've got to just be able to just do it.
And since then, judo has taken a back seat, or you still compete in that, or?
No, I really won't compete anymore in judo. I've consider myself completely retired from that sport. I had pretty much, after high school, I had stopped competing at like the national level, and without that passion, there's really, I got to national level, nationally ranked kind of judo guy, but I never really was world class at it. I didn't have the passion for it. I didn't really want to be out there doing it. I was good at it, but without that passion, there's really only so far you can go, in my opinion. It's really, that's been the difference for my shooting. I've been doing shooting for a third of the amount of time that I did judo, and I'm way further along than I ever was competitively in judo.
Yeah, because you got that passion there driving you and wanting to get better.
Yeah.
And your parents, were they kind of a world-class judo deal?
Yeah, my dad, he was, I guess it goes back to my great grandpa, and all my relatives, they've all done martial arts, and from sumo to jujitsu, and then for me and my brother and my dad, modern jujitsu, which is judo, sport judo.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the things that separate, what judo is a martial art, right? And the thing that makes a martial art is that there's a sort of a philosophical, underlying principles of working towards being a better human being. We learn to fight, but what we're really doing is we're learning how to become better people by facing challenges and overcoming them, and working towards goals, and building confidence that way. And so that's where I do my shooting like it's a martial art. I'm out there doing the steel challenge, trying to get faster times, and just, I know to do that, I've got to practice and put in the work.
Right.
And these are all things that I learned, doing judo. It's pretty plain and simple. There's no real secret sauce. It's just
Right.
Personal opinion, I think I would get tired of getting my ass kicked so many times that I would, like, physically, that it's like, oh, you know what, I think I'd rather shoot.
Yeah,
right.
well, that's how part of what they teach you though is you're only going to put your hands in the flames so many times before you go, ouch, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that anymore. And your brain will just by default stop doing that.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I would be like, well, can only get hit.
That's interesting. We really haven't seen a martial artist kind of using that to get into competitive shooting. So the judo is what got you involved into competitive shooting. How did that kind of cross over? Did you see someone on TV one day shoot and you're like, I'm gonna try that?
That's watching KC and Max and Jerry and all of them on TV and going, damn, that's cool. And but it was I left judo and I was happy to not have to go to judo practice anymore, but I think there was still this burning desire, that's just competitors. Yeah, competitors just have that, it's just this burning desire to compete. And it's not something that's going to go away. It's just, it's something to, that I had to feed. And I found that outlet to be shooting. And I like it because it's like judo is, there's only so long you're really competitive at doing that. I mean, eventually you become a sensei and you teach, and shooting is something that I'm out there with in Europe with Mike Gallion. I think he's like 72 years old, and he's still shooting, and he shoots pretty fast, and it's something you can just keep doing and doing for a long time. I see a whole lifetime left of shooting still to do for me. And with judo, you can eventually get hurt and you're out for a while, and it's just never really the same. And I was fortunate to get out before I really paid that kind of dues, where dealing with
injuries.
lifelong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not super common, but I mean, it's something, if you do that every day, it's just kind of bound to happen. And I mean, even in the time that I did judo, I broke my wrist and dislocated my sternum, and I broke toes, and it's just
hurt.
And people say shooting's dangerous. It's really it's not. I mean, there's plenty other, and judo isn't. I mean, these are injuries I suffered over 16, 17 years. So I mean, it's not like I was every day injured. It's fairly safe, but that's what I'm saying is, I think till the day I die, I'll probably croak when I'm 70 out on the shooting range. And that would be just fine with me.
Yeah. I mean, we're right in the middle
I actually know somebody who died on the shooting range, so it's possible.
Yeah, but it wasn't from the gun.
No.
Yes,
no, it was not from it was not because he got shot.
Yeah, I mean, we're right in the middle of the shooting season. What matches do you have left, and what accomplishments have you, and what have you won so far?
So far this year, I went to the U.S. Steel Shoot, and I got third in rimfire rifle there, and that's a fun match. It's a big match, one of the biggest Steel Challenge matches I think out there. And along with the East Coast Steel Challenge, that's a big one as well. And then I went to Texas, and I didn't do so good in Texas. I think I got fourth in Texas. That was a rimfire, NSSF rimfire regional match. My buddies put that match on, so
So you're crazy. Fourth is like really good.
Yeah. So, it's but it's a regional NSSF match, and last year I got second overall at the World Championships, and first in open. So to me, it's it's kind of like, oh, regional match, I got fourth, but
Yeah.
but I have fun the whole way through, and that's really the measure of success. Is a lot of the older guys shooters have told me, people later on, 20 years from now, they're not going to remember that that I won this or that or whatever. They're just going to remember that I was a nice guy. And
that's for sure.
So yeah, and then let's see, the other one, the World Speed Shoot, obviously. That one was a big one for me. I shot 71.08, or I'm sorry, a 70.48, which was my actually personal best time, and I did it at the World Speed Shoot. And that won me my third consecutive World Speed Shoot title in the open rimfire rifle division. And then I got fourth place in PCC behind Casey Acebio. And that they add those two scores up for Rifle Master. That's a sort of a new thing. They started last year. And so this year's the second year of that. And so I took down that title as well. It's Rifle Steel Master. So that was really pretty big, because that was, basically, it's not just the rimfire rifle. That's basically like all rifles, fast with the 1022 and fast with the AR style rifle too.
All right, well done. Congrats on those, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and then and then I just got back from Europe. I got fifth in open and sixth in rimfire pistol open. And that was on borrowed guns, because I had newbie ticket agents didn't let me take my guns with me. So I had to abandon them here and just get over there and borrow some. So thankfully, Tillman Keith.
That's got to throw off your game a little bit too, man. You know what I mean? Imagine going to a match and your rifles and shotguns, a 3-gun match, and your pistol isn't there. Yeah, you'll know someone will let you borrow a gun. But still, it's already playing with your head. You know what I mean? You trained on that equipment. Now you got, dude. I've had my fair share of, I've borrowed stuff plenty of time from people, whether it was in a local or a major match.
Usually because you don't remember your packing list and you forget your belt.
Oh, it's a very bad habit of mine. People know it. I drove to a major match at Universal. When granted, it was Universal's only a 2.5-hour drive for me. So I opened the trunk of my car and I realized I didn't bring any of my match ammo. None. Didn't have any ammo. Had all the guns, all the equipment, just no ammunition. So, and then I'm thinking, well, Walmart. I'm there at the time. Well, there's a Walmart down the street, but I know they stopped selling ammo like 9 p.m. I think. And then on top of that, I was gonna have to buy like 300 rounds of factory ammunition.
Which
expensive.
Which is expensive, and not only that, it usually runs a little hotter than the match ammunition.
Yeah.
So I opted to borrow some ammo from a local competitor or a local shooter, and I got through the match with his ammo. But still, you know what I mean? That throws your head off. Your head's in the game. You got to use somebody else's guns.
Yeah, and what goes through your mind is like worst case scenario, like, oh god, I'm gonna drop this dude's gun, or
it's gonna blow up.
I don't know how light his trigger, his trigger was a little lighter than mine. I'm not super particular about my triggers, and so his trigger was a little bit on the light side for me. As compared to my gun, and it's just, and then his rimfire pistol, mine's always rock solid, and I use good Norma ammo. I don't have a slide racker. It's even like difficult for me to rack the slide, and on my normal gun, and because I'm just fully dependent on my stuff working like all the time. You take that for granted, and so his gun jams up and I can hardly get the magazine out, and the clock's ticking, and I'm just like, oh god, man, this is not good. This is bad. Yeah. So
and you still managed to take what you said you took fourth in this competition over there?
No, I got sixth in rimfire pistol open and fifth in open. And I'm sure I could have done a lot better with my own equipment. Hopefully next year I'll be able to get my own stuff over there and get on the podium.
Oh man, dude, what is their excuse? What did they tell you? Why couldn't you fly with your guns?
Well, The documentation that I have was a customs form, a customs declaration form, and that's actually to get the guns back into the States, showing that these were here and documented as being here, so that when I come back in, I'm not importing, you know, and I have official customs declaration showing that. Now to get there, they wanted to see a Dutch firearms permit. Well, see, to get a Dutch firearms permit, you have to be a member in good standing at a shooting club for a year, at least 16 years old, and a resident, and you know, all these requirements that I can't meet. But it says in lieu of that, you can have an official invitation from the shooting club, from an official shooting club, which I had. The problem was that the ticket agent, they've never dealt with this before, and I mean, if it was your ass on the line, I didn't, the guy was like, I wish I could just let you through, but if something goes wrong over there, he was like, my job's on the line, and I didn't want to cost somebody his job, and plus, the clock's ticking, the plane's gonna leave eventually. There's only so long I have to argue this, and next time I need to plan like maybe 4 or 5 more hours just to argue my case and bring even more documentation, so that and have it even translated from Dutch too. It's and have numbers for him to call. He was having trouble finding the proper international number to dial to talk to Dutch customs. So it's
we always hear horror stories from the airport stuff and all that stuff. And when I'm standing in line for the ticket, to check the luggage, I start looking at the reps. I'm like, which dude is into guns the most?
Yeah.
That guy looks like it. I'm gonna wait on
it. The one wearing the skinny jeans, probably not the one.
Probably, yeah.
Not. And I was right the last time too. I looked at this dude. I'm like, this dude has to have some interest in guns. And I went to him to do the coolest dude, in and out, man. It is like, all right. Nice. But this was an international flight or anything, so I know there is a couple more steps to it, and I can see them not dealing with that stuff too often, especially going to these international companies. Everybody has their own set of rules over there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where I hope to get my guns there next time, and and while I was there, the guy that let me borrow his guns, his name's Tillman Keith, and he's from Germany, and he had a 2011 with the Seymour turned sideways, which mine's usually straight up, but and he had really, if you watch the videos, they're hot loads. There's like a flame about that big coming out of the comp. And
nice. Well, it's awesome of him to let you borrow the guns and get you in through the match at least, right?
Yeah, that's where the guys at the European Steel Challenge, they put on an awesome match. They sort of rolled out the red carpet for me. I felt really welcome, and they treated me extra special. I mean, I think it seemed like they treat everybody pretty nice.
You got a boot of beer, right?
Yeah,
Das
Boot. Yeah, the bartender at the local hotel, we were talking about that, and he insisted that it was real, and I believed him, but the next day he messaged me on Facebook and says, hey, I fixed something for you. I want to hand it off to you. And I thought he was talking about the bill, but he hands me this big glass boot, and he's like, I told you it's real. So,
we got a boot full of beer.
That's like my prized souvenir from the Netherlands.
Awesome.
It's a cool place.
I see you have all your trophies lined up, but I don't see Das Boot behind you or anything.
No. The Das Boot is put away.
Das Boot. Ben says hello from Chesapeake, Virginia.
Cool.
Nice. Let's see where we got. Eric says, how many times have you been called Randy Lee?
That's like an inside joke there. Is like I get being the Asian guy shooter, I get mistaken for Chris Chang, Randy Lee.
Oh yeah, I can see Chris Chang.
Daniel Charbonneau. Basically any Asian shooter out there, JJ Rakaza, even people. It's funny and so it's kind of an inside joke too.
I wish your name was Randy Lee. I can at least pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, Randy is the guy that owns Apex Tactical, and
Awesome.
They used to live in the town right next to mine, and I would shoot with them at the our local range, and he's the one that's gunsmithed a bunch of my revolvers and my 2011, and they're like, if you know Apex Tactical, they're the guys you want messing with your guns. So shout out to those guys. They're real nice guys also.
Awesome. We have Havoc Legion Shooting Team says he's checking in here doing some dry fire while watching today. Can Trenton talk about his typical dry fire regimen and dry fire schedule before big matches if it changes? I
actually don't do much dry fire. The dry fire I do is with my center fire gun. Typically, you don't want to dry fire your rimfire guns. It'll peen the barrel. It'll leave a mark with the firing pin strikes the barrel, and you'll ruin barrels quicker than normal. So use a snap cap. There's a tip for you. If you're going to dry fire your rimfire gun, it's probably a good idea to use a snap cap. But I dry fire my center fire gun to practice drawing up to my eye. That's as I've ventured into the open division, that seems to be one of the main things holding me back is my time to first shots kind of need to get under a second, and I'm hovering just over that. So I need to do that over and over and over. But I'm fortunate to where my local range is probably 10 minutes from my house, and so sometimes I'll sneak over there and grab lunch and go practice a little bit. I have a key because I clean up there. I'm the janitor, the master of the custodial arts.
Yeah, master of the custodial arts, but you got a key to the range.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good deal. I mean, if that's one of the big secrets to my success is go volunteer at your local range. You'll get extra practice time, and it's a big deal. I mean, helping out the gun community and the shooters in general, it's a big deal to do your part. And if you go out there and you're just throwing brass around and you pay your way, but there's volunteers that are running the matches and keeping the local matches going, at a grassroots level. If we don't have that stuff, there's not going to be any more shooting sports. So
sure. Yep.
It's got to help out, where you can, and your reward is, practice time. Other guys I see out there picking up brass and stuff, and I'm like, hey, help us out and clean up some. You can pick up all the brass you want, just to help me take out the trash and strip this bay down. And they're like, cool, next thing you know, you got a half dozen people out helping out, willing to do their part. It's awesome. The shooting community is, you guys already know, it's the very tight-knit community, and everybody kind of knows everybody, and it's really sort of a happy sport. It's competitive, but you make lots of friends, and that's what I get the most kick out of.
Now I noticed from watching your videos on the European Steel Championship that they didn't it was obviously, it looked like it was in an indoor range. Not only did they have tires over the steel targets, or it looked like tires, but the dimensions of, especially I noticed it the most on Smoke and Hope. Yeah. They're not your typical steel challenge dimension stage as far as how far the targets are from each other. They definitely narrowed it into a small bay.
Yeah, which made them, very speed trappy. They were very fast.
Did that throw you off a little bit in that match?
Yes and no. Since I shoot rimfire challenge, the stages are always different. So I was kind of going into it knowing that the stages were different and just trying to think, this is rimfire challenge. That's familiar. But I did get caught in the speed traps. You look at them and they're real tight real close, and you're just like, I'm gonna go 100 miles an hour, you know.
Yeah.
And I definitely, you know, probably walked off the edge a couple times or a few times trying to go too fast. But the tires kept the splatter from, you know, hitting the overhead lights, and they had spotlights on the ground pointing upward, lighting up the plate, which was really cool because you could totally see very clearly each plate. The outer limits, the distance from box to box was the same, but I think the back plates were further back. They seemed pretty far. And then the rimfire starting position is a little closer, and it's just a dot on the ground. If you go to a big rimfire match, it's usually a stick.
Dot.
Well, it's usually like a stick or a sign that's 10 feet out in front and maybe like 1.5 feet high.
Right.
This one was probably just a couple meters in front and a dot on the ground. So you started sort of very low ready. We'll put it that way. But
any experience in Steel Challenge or any of those style kind of rimfire challenge matches?
Not a whole lot. I did a local Steel Challenge, I guess a couple months ago. It was fun. It was definitely different. I was like, I just stand here and shoot.
Yeah.
And I get to do it more than one time. So
and you don't have to bring anything with you. You just bring like a pistol bag.
Yep.
Well, I actually shot 2 divisions. This was a local match, and you could shoot multiple divisions, and so I shot my 17 long. I shot my center fire, and then because it wasn't rimfire only, and then somebody let me share his MMP 22, so I got to shoot that, and that was fun.
Yeah, that's
the rifle was fun. Like pistol, but like with the rifle, I was 8th overall. It was fun.
Yeah. See, and what they've done since opening up the rifle divisions is they are exploding in popularity. PCC, I think the last I saw was up 600% in terms of for USPSA, and I think that included Steel Challenge as well. I'm usually more keyed into the Steel Challenge numbers, but you know, when I first started shooting rifle, I went to rifle and steel challenge was I went to the 2014 World Speed Shoot, and it was the first year, and I think there was like a dozen people shooting it. And since then, it's become, you know, one of the biggest divisions out there, and I think PCC is gonna probably be way up there too, if not take over in terms of numbers. But I think at the World Speed Shoot, if I remember correct, it was open division was the biggest division, and followed by rimfire pistol and rimfire rifle. So they're pretty big, growing. They're growing really fast. I mean, it's super addicting. I mean, once you shoot it, you realize that it's something you're like, man, I'm gonna do that again.
And it was the most fun match because I was not exhausted, and I RO'd it. They were like, we need ROs. So me and another guy were the ROs for our squad. And I was like, I had to ask the rules for. I'm like, tell me all the rules now. But
but it's easy.
It's easy. We ran the timer. But even like usually if you RO, like I'm exhausted by the end of the match because between trying to reset and do score and you know do the timer, there's no resetting. Like you just shoot it, and the next person, you just paint it like at the end of their string, and
after
it was so easy. I was like, wow, this is nice. Like I don't have pasters stuck all over me.
Yeah. Jeez, and the one that I shot, I was like, man, you can't get any penalties, right? There's no way, dude. I jumped a timer on one.
Oh, yep.
He caught me.
Yep. And
I jumped a timer on one. I was just like, I don't know why I'm thinking about these things. Probably not the best thing to think about. I'm like, all right, this dude's consistently, you know, throwing this buzzer here, and I just like, ooh, I must have been like a tenth of a second jump. But
so you were trying to cheat? That's what you're saying?
No, I was pretty much
Game in the clock.
Game in it.
But it cost me because I let off a round and hit the first plate, and then he told me to stop, so it cost me some type of penalty.
Yeah, no, he was supposed to. I think he was supposed to just let you keep going and assess you 3 second or something for that.
I think
uncommon.
I don't know. I don't remember. I might have finished shooting the stage. I don't know. I don't think I did though. I think it just like stop or something. I don't know. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Get
but
this. Did you see the video of Muneki when he was, and the RO kept saying he was creeping? And he wasn't even, he moves his thumbs kind of like but he wasn't like moving this way, but he just kind of like, I guess, a nervous thing or
he probably didn't even realize he was doing it, huh?
They were like, "You're creeping." He's like, "I'm not creeping." He got in like a full-fledged argument.
Jeez. I'll have to
See
look
it on his Facebook? Yeah, he was hot. He was mad.
Gotta check that one out.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm always sort of happy-go-lucky there, having a good time. I think you know, the times where, you know, one time I got a DQ at a Rimfire Challenge World Championship. So if you know,
how do you get DQ'd at Rimfire?
How do you get DQ'd?
Well, this is here. I'll tell you what happens. This is sort of common too. Is so they you know, the unload and show clear. And you know, I just shot the stage really fast. This was 2014, and BJ Norris had the fastest string time. They posted who had the fastest string time. Well, I was completely unknown guy and actually beat the fastest string time. But the following stage, I was in the unload show clear part, and you know, they see me shoot fast. I think the RO kind of, you know, just kind of glanced down my chamber. And because he's not expecting me to do what happened, and I, you know, if you know, racking one out, I looked down and I saw a round on the ground, and so I just stupidly assumed that was mine, even though I didn't see it actually come out. But what happened was the round got stuck in the chamber, and the extractor slipped past, so there was still a round in there. That's why they say if you know, if clear, pull forward, you know, and hammer down. So I hammered down and went right into the berm, you know, totally in a safe direction and everything. And I kind of look at the RO, and he looks at me and just kind of goes, man. I got to talk to the range master. And I knew that was it. Yeah. I mean, it's a Rimfire Challenge tournament, and it was the World Championship, so it's not like they could really have much mercy on you. And there's kids that a lot of kids shoot Rimfire Challenge, so you can't really have, you know, just for safety's sake, you have to be strict with the rules. And so what's funny though is the end of the story is the guy that DQs me is Billy Strickland. He was running the match that time, and you know, a couple years go by. No, a couple years go by, and he's actually a sponsor of mine now. He's helped me soup up my buck marks, and it's, you know, when people remember and take notice. You know, I didn't make a big stink. I knew that there was nothing they could do, and I think my only comment was, oh, it sucks that I flew all the way over here.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, there's nothing, you can't argue that. You know, you really, you know.
Yeah, it's nothing really you can do, and I took it well, and he totally remembered that. People still come up to me nowadays and say, yeah, I was there when you got DQ'd that one time. You know?
Don't you love that?
Yeah. And but you know, it's part of the game, and learning to be extra safe. And you know, the problem really was my fault. You know, I was complacent there, and it's a lesson that everybody has to learn eventually. And unfortunately, I had to learn it at the World Championships. But I assured them that I would be back the next year, and sure enough, I did. And that was the first year that I won. I got third overall behind Colby Pavlock and BJ Norris the following year. So I had sort of ultimate, you know, retribution there. I got the comeback of the century. You know, from last place the year before to third place the next year. That raised some eyebrows.
That's how good the normal animal is. He's trying to pick him up off the ground.
Yeah.
Picking him off the ground. All right. Yeah. On the rimfire stuff, I'm just like, tink, on the ground. No worries now.
Yeah. No worries.
You got to be careful with the rimfire, because they're like, well, I won't say who, but somebody put a round. It was not me, and it was not my kids, but someone put a round through my mom and dad's kitchen window.
Oh no!
And he was past military. I mean, he racked it a few times and didn't actually look, and it did not rack it out. And then
that's it's common because rimfire barrels can be tight, and when they get dirty, they just the round gets stuck in there. So it's fairly common to see at a match people having to shoot it out, shoot the last round out. And I've seen it a lot with full courts and barrels, but there's a lot of different aftermarket barrels out there, and they kind of vary in tightness. Some of them are meant for bullseye shooting, so they're very tight. And that's why the safety rules are in place, and we try to be as absolutely safe as possible, because there's accidents happen sometimes, and just try to do your best to make sure nobody gets hurt.
Exactly. All right, here we're going to move on to Discount Corner here. Let's try to save you some money from some great companies here. Jen, you want to start us off? Discount Corner.
Carbon Arms. You can get 10% off at carbonarms.us for shotgun shell caddies and chest rigs, and they have AR-15 parts. They have hand guards, the carbon fiber hand guards. They have extension tubes for your shotguns, for your Stoker, and some other ones. So check them out. TSM10 will get you 10% off.
Right, and I think they do 22 AR-22 conversions also. You could just buy like a whole upper that's 22 long rifle and just slap it on your AR-15. They do them over there at Carbon Arms too. So for the show's sake, if you wanted to get into some rimfire rifle stuff and try to beat Trenton.
You beat me in the amount of fun. That's the main game. Slap that conversion on there and come out and have a blast.
Indeed. Nikki, any Discount Corner stuff?
Yes, if you want to save 10% at American Defense Manufacturing, use discount code 3GUN10. It's number 3, the word gun, and the number 10. And then I have you can go to Red Hill Tactical and use discount code Clevenger, CLEVENGER. I can't remember if it saves you 10 or 15%. I'll have to ask. And then I have my Frenzies discount. So friend me on Facebook or send me a message. I can save you 20% with True Spec or 15% with Criterion barrels. So,
Trenton, any 50% off codes for Hogue or anything like that?
I don't have those. I wish I did. I'm actually working on
50% off. No,
no, they have a big sale going on, and their prices have been looking pretty juicy lately. Midway seems to always have them lately. So even if you're just looking for, a lot of people use Normas for their save them for their big important matches. That seems to be really common what I'm hearing from people. They'll use cheaper ammo to practice with, and then they'll save the Norma for the good stuff for their matches, which is smart because it always goes bang for me, and I can prove it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're gonna get into some of keeping your, how to keep your rimfire guns reliable, and if ammunition is important. And obviously, I think you could kind of know the answer to that already.
Yeah,
I'll talk about that a little bit more. I have a couple here. The folks at shop.tacticalshit, shit.com, TSM10 saves you 10% off anything over on their website or in their retail store. So if you're in the St. Louis, Missouri, kind of St. Peters area, check out their retail shop. Also, the folks over at Dewey Rods, DeweyRods.com. They have 22 rimfire rods to clean your guns and rifles with. If you need any of that, TSM15 will save you 15% off over at DeweyRods.com. Taran Tactical Innovations, TSM10. If I don't have it at the Shooter's Mindset shop, you can always get it directly from TaranTacticalInnovations.com. That'll save you 10% over there. Also, the folks at Tactical, umtactical.com, TSM10 gets you 10% off over on their website. And lastly, the folks over at Rand CLP, Mindset 16. Mindset 16 saves you 15% off Rand CLP products. There it is. That'll wrap it up for Discount Corner. But let's kind of jump on that. I had it here further down in my notes, but keys and tips for keeping your rimfire rifle or pistol to run reliable. Now, I had I have the only one that I have is a Smith & Wesson Victory, and I was super happy with it because it ran the cheapest of the cheapest. You know what I mean? The Remington Thunderbolts. You know what I mean? That stuff. You know, you can always find this, and it was running it. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. It runs all the cheap stuff. And then when I started modifying it and putting some stuff on there, some comps, and whatever, I was putting some stuff on there, and then all of a sudden it wouldn't run it anymore.
It starts getting pickier.
So,
yeah,
it started getting pickier and pickier as the parts were added. So I'm wondering, what do you do to keep your rimfire guns reliable? Is it just an ammunition thing? Is that probably the biggest key part?
That I would say is number one is pick an ammo with good quality control and good priming. They're not all created equal. Some of the priming systems are just inferior to some of the bulk manufacturers. It goes down the line and they put in the powder and then they put a drop of water and then they kind of centrifuge it to get it to the rim. That's where it's going to pop the primer, right? But Norma, they use a liquid. It's already pre-liquid. So they just kind of squirt it down into the case and it gets all the way to the rim. And so I've found over tens and tens of thousands of rounds, the only times I've had problems, I can blame it on the gun's dirty, the magazine's too old. It's never the ammo. The hardest thing to diagnose what's wrong with your rimfire gun is, how are you going to know if it's your ammo? If you have ammo that's, Remington Golden Bullets, maybe not the most highest quality controlled thing out there. How do you know if it's the ammo? You could be blaming it on something else, and it's totally just a bad round. The Winchester stuff. Maybe I shouldn't joke, but my joke is sorry Winchester. I'll just start off with the apology. My joke is, the Winchester 5.55. You got 5 in there that are duds, 5 that won't extract, and 5 that that won't chamber. And basically what I'm getting at is find an ammo that you can really trust. Because you get to the highest levels and it really just comes down to, if you have one malfunction, it's going to put you in a really bad spot because you're up against people whose guns don't mess up. And it's even getting to the top 10 is going to be a big problem if your gun doesn't go bang every time, like every single time.
Yep.
And but I hear a lot of people say a lot of weird things. I hear people, oh, your gun's too clean. And I'm the opposite of that. I clean my gun before every big match, and then I go run, like a half a box or a 25 or 50 rounds just to function check it and make sure that it's good. But my stuff is
to me, that's like saying you're too smart. Why is it a bad thing?
Yeah,
you'll be amazed. Some of the stuff that I hear, my ammo's fine. You just have to run it through reloading compound to get the wax off. Maybe that works for people, but I just get good Norma ammo. It's a little greasy, but I think that helps it. It wouldn't be there if it didn't help. And I was talking to the Norma ballistician. She's the ballistic scientist, and I was telling her how people have come up to me and said, "Oh, I removed the grease," and she just kind of smiles and shakes her head and basically says, "Don't fix it if it ain't broke."
Yeah. Right on.
So, but clean guns. Rimfire is kind of notoriously dirty. And I would say I always use the lead bullets. When you use the copper plate and the hollow points, those have a lot of trouble feeding and chambering a lot. I used to have a gun that would chamber the hollow points, but it would shave off a little sliver of the copper plate, and that would eventually get bad enough to where it wouldn't go all the way into battery. keep an eye on the dirtiness of your rimfire guns. That seems to be, I think, the number one problem I see with people out there trying to shoot dirty guns, and it's just, they don't work.
So keys here: don't shoot dirty guns.
You pick good ammo.
And pick good ammo, and your rimfire gun should run for at least an entire match.
Yes, that's what you're hoping. I mean, that's part of the game. It's centerfire shooting is you got the whole reloading thing, but for the most part, you don't have as many problems. You don't see as many people out there struggling with their guns. In rimfire shooting, you see a lot of people out there struggling with their guns. A lot.
When just that one major, there was a young girl in the squad, and I'll leave the gun manufacturer out, but I don't think it really has to do with that gun manufacturer is probably makes up for like 80% of the guns in that competition anyway. So it's not like it's a bad gun manufacturer or anything like that. It's just anytime you see anybody in 3-gun or in centerfire or rimfire, and you consistently see malfunction after malfunction, and them trying to work through it, and then the frustration starts to sit in.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
takes away from the fun,
It's like you're not having fun anymore. Now you're frustrated. Now your match is kind of over because you had multiple malfunctions and you keep having them. And then it's like, dude, what's going on with my gun? How do I fix this? And you can't figure it out. And when it really gets to a point where you almost want to throw your gun down at the steel.
Yeah. Well, that brings up another tip that I should mention is I think a lot of the problem that I see is people sort of over modding things, and I'm the worst culprit. I shoot a custom gun, and it's completely tricked out. But what my point is do one modification at a time. That way you'll be able to tell if how that one thing affects the whole system. If you make 5 changes all at once, you go to the range and you expect it all to work, that's where you end up with problems. So, the TK guys are awesome. They go to the rimfire matches, and they'll have like a little hospital area for rimfire guns, and they'll fix them on site for people. But
using their farts, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And but they're building relationships that way and helping people out. And I think when you see a lot of people, it's easy to get your rimfire gun and go, I'm going to go nuts on it. But and by all means,
it's not like an open gun, you know what I mean? Everything's so much more affordable. It's like, dude, I can get a comp, I can get a trigger, I can get an extended parts for like, $100 and so. It's just like, dude, let's do it all one shot.
Yeah. It's tempting to just do it all and throw it all together and then cross your fingers, But my advice is just start with one thing at a time. And all said and done, I shot my standard Mark III all the way up until the standard Mark III, just the tapered barrel, the one you give to your 12-year-old kid, that was the one that I shot for a long time. And I even went to that 2014 World Championships in St. George, and people were kind of chuckling, like, oh, look at that gun, I gave that one to my 12-year-old kid. And then they'd see me shooting it, and they're like, holy crap, he's keeping up with that thing. And it's you don't really need even all the way up to those upper levels. You don't need a super race gun. You can just go out there and have fun, and even to be competitive, you don't really need every little thing. It's but I say that, and then you look at my guns, and it has everything on it.
Well, when you're at the level that you're at, when you're talking about tenths of a second make a difference, especially at that level, I can understand why you would have what you have. Plus, you have sponsors. You know what I mean. You use the sponsor equipment. But as far as compensators on a rimfire, handgun, or rifle, I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Do you really notice a difference with a comp on it? Every time I show mine on Instagram, someone's like, "Dude, you got a comp on a 22, you girl." You know what I mean? That thing don't kick hard.
I just in Europe, I had to shoot one without a comp, and let me tell you what, I was really wishing I had a comp.
Really?
So it's it probably doesn't make any difference to anybody, but probably starting about at me, and Colby and Max Michelle and BJ. I mean, it's not going to be a real big factor until we're talking hundredths of a second. But at the same token, though, it is louder. It helps pick up on the timer, I can notice the difference between comped gun and an uncomped gun, and how hot the 22 rounds are, because blazers are. I was shooting blazers in Europe, and those things are hot. I mean, I'm used to shooting Norma, and they're very mellow, softer in recoil, and most people probably don't need a comp, but in the end, you probably should use a comp.
Yeah, there you go. Comp. So and that makes a lot of sense actually, because recoil aside, right? There's nothing that sucks more when you have a baller ass run and the timer doesn't pick up
exactly
your last shots, and then you have to do it all over again. Yeah. So I think that in itself is almost just worth the compensator.
Yeah.
The $30 to $30 to $50 you're going to spend on that's for a center fire. Let me get 3 of those, no big deal,
I mean, in some of the Hungarian shooter, the Hungarian rimfire shooter, the European champion, he has sort of, instead of a comp, it's sort of weight on the end of it, and so I mean, in some ways, adding some mass towards the end of your barrel could potentially be just as effective, because he was shooting fast. He's a fast shooter. This guy, Andre Laszlo, look him up. He's the European guy to beat. He's fast. Right. So, but he doesn't use a comp. If I remember correctly, Colby doesn't either on his pistol. Actually, he doesn't use a comp. They don't let you.
There you go.
Before
all this rimfire stuff, before I actually had my own rimfire gun, it was a buddy of mine who had it was very interesting because it came with like 3 different barrels. One pistol had a bunch of different barrels. One barrels were longer lengths, and one had weights on it. I think it was an American Standard or something like that.
High Standard.
High Standard. Something like that. It was something, but it was this kind of really old-looking rimfire gun. It had wood grips on it. Supposedly it was really expensive, and it came with all these barrels, and one had weights on it, and I was like, well, what the heck?
They would use those for bullseye. Yeah. And but
it had the grips. The grips were all conformed, for the right-handed shooter or something like that. It was pretty awesome.
The guy I went and shot with in Europe, Mike Gallion, he's this old guy that's from the Washington area, really nice guy, and he shoots a High Standard. He shoots. He's sponsored by them and shoots their High Standard guns. So I mean, that's where any gun you pick out there, you can. People ask me all the time, oh, what gun should I get to shoot Rimfire Challenge? And I'm like, any gun. You're just starting out, just grab anything. It doesn't matter.
Something start shooting.
Yeah, just get out there and shoot. You figure it out later, and right off the bat when you're first starting, you don't need tricked out, balls to the wall, drag racing gun, any old thing will do.
Indeed. Smith & Wesson U.S. Nationals is a match that has been put on for a few years. I don't know if last year they put it on in Florida still. If they're still doing it here, I think they might be.
It was in Georgia last year.
Right. They had it at Volusia County Gun and Hunt Club, I think, for a few years, and then they moved it. But I mean, that match, you seem to do pretty well at that match, and you're also competing against Max Michelle and Jesse Duff and all these guys that are they go to like every Steel Challenge match there is, and KC's out there, and you usually get
big dogs.
Yeah, all these guys out there, and it's not like you can get away from them, right? Because you're like, oh well, Max is only shooting open. Let me shoot rimfire. No, they shoot them all. They shoot all the divisions. Yeah. Right. Mainly. So how is it competing against Max Michelle and these guys who are multiple Steel Challenge champions, especially and the gap between rimfire open pistol and open?
Yeah, the gap between those two isn't really that big. I mean, shooting fast is shooting fast, and when you got the open guns, they shoot pretty flat too. They're just sort of louder, and there's a little bit of kick. But when you got a comped open gun, really what's holding me back is the draw, and that's really the only difference to me. Is I'm shooting the same type of gun, a 2011 with my open gun and a 1911 with my rimfire gun, but sort of the form factor is the same, but the only thing different is the draw. And but yeah, then shooting against Max and KC and BJ, that's always a humbling experience.
You were able to beat those guys in rimfire at least, right? Or
no, I can sort of hang in there, but
not yet.
BJ, I still have yet to beat BJ in rimfire. And Max and KC, I don't know if I'll ever get there. They are just running ridiculously fast. I got money on Colby Pavlock. He's the guy. If you were going to bet on somebody to beat one of those top guys, I would keep my eye on Colby. He is ridiculously fast, and he's not even using a red dot. He's a monster, even just with his iron sights. And but he just got into shooting open as well, and so I would keep an eye out for him. He's going to be a contender, and he's got the best chance of actually getting his name right up in there with BJ and Max and KC. I'm sort of Colby's second fiddle, the open sight guy who's losing to the iron sight guy. But you have to. I look at myself as like one of the first place humans. Those other guys are on another level, and I mean, you watch them shoot, and you could barely even see the human left in them. They're machines, and
when Max Michel's open or production times are just as fast, if not faster, than a rimfire guy. You're like, well, shit. I got a lot more work to do here.
A lot more work to be. Yeah, it needs to be done. But that's where I'm sort of. I mean, obviously, I'm serious in my competing, but I'm out there just trying to have fun and make friends. And to me, it's not like a job. Although I take it seriously, I take myself seriously, my shooting career seriously. At the end of the day, if it wasn't fun for me, I probably wouldn't be out there doing it. And I get the most kick out of meeting the people. That's where Steel Challenge and Rimfire Challenge, they have a really awesome crowd that sort of follows the sport and goes to all the matches. And it's a neat community.
Well, I bumped into you at SHOT Show this past year, and I'm like, dude, we were friends on Facebook, right? Yeah, we haven't had much interaction, but you saw me and you're like, dude, we ended up talking for like a half an hour. I'm like, who is it? Like, we're Facebook friends, but I don't really know you. Well, apparently we ended up talking about guns and knives and Hogue stuff for 30 minutes. And then Rick from Big Gunner 81, who also has a live show, I think it was yesterday, he was jumped in on the conversation. We end up here. That's the thing, man. You find shooters and with like-minded people, and we would have been there for the whole industry range day. I was like, dude, we need to break this off. I need to go shoot some guns real quick,
Yeah. It was so cold.
The wind kicked up.
I'm still cold Vegas, thinking about it.
Yeah, Vegas in the desert. The desert, man, it's supposed to be hot, but shit, that was no.
That was
brutal. There.
The sun was out. It was like the sun was there. It was right in front of your face, but it was still cold as shit. The wind was blowing hard.
I had fun, but I would have had a lot more fun had it been about 15 degrees warmer and not windy.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know, we were still shooting at Rise 308 though at almost 900 with that wind.
Oh yeah. I tried out the tracking point. That was interesting.
You know what? I still never shot that thing. I always walk right by it. I don't know why. To me, I got things to do and I go straight there, man. There's one day I'm just gonna say, just screw all the notes. I'm just gonna go there and pick up guns. Yeah.
I was lucky because the Hogue guys kind of let me, explore around, and they knew it was my first industry day, so they kind of let me explore around and look at things. But that's where they've been really cool with me. Is they've been really supportive of everything. You know, from day one, those guys have sort of taken me under their wing. I feel like part of the family, and they've you know, it's the support that I've found along the way with the friends that I've made is the only way that any of this stuff is really possible. I mean, I couldn't do it.
You do marketing for Hogue, right?
Yeah. They like I think last October they lost their digital marketer and kind of asked me if I wanted to work full time. But you know, I've got my shooting, and what allows me to do that is I own my own business. I make videos for people, and I don't know if you saw my post before I went to Europe. One of the other things I do is I can technical direct. I'm sort of a techie, but in the video realm. So anything that's sort of needs a video specialist, I get brought in to handle that stuff. But the Hogue said, "Hey, you want to work full time?" And I was like, you know, I got my shooting, and you know, I make a decent living, and it makes time for me to go shoot. And they're like, "Well, how about you just come in 1 or 2 days a week and have meetings, and then you can post on our Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff." And
Awesome.
so that was basically like,
That's awesome.
How could you not do that,
Yeah,
right?
sweet job.
Yeah, work for us and we'll pay for your match.
Yeah, and we'll give you all the time off you need to go explore the nation and shoot
And
matches.
represent Hogue at the match, right? It's a
Yeah,
win-win.
and that's where I've learned, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, if I was world champion, I'd have tons of sponsors, and you know, it really has nothing to do with that. It's more of being a brand ambassador, and you know, when you're out there, like the story with Billy Strickland, you know, if you're out there, if I did the opposite of that and was like, oh, I got DQ'd and I quit and you know, F you, and, you know, throw a big stink. I mean,
Yeah, you would have kicked dirt on his shoes and spit on them and stuff like that. You know, remember that, and you would have never been sponsored by Strickland Gunworks.
Yeah, and instead, you know, he kind of saw how I reacted and kind of kept in touch, and you know, years down the line, that's what opens up the doors. It's not really, I mean, sure, it's easier maybe to get sponsors after winning world championships, but nobody's going to sponsor you if you're a dick about it, you know?
Yeah, right.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
And that's where I've learned I have much more to offer for them, not in winning matches, but in, you know, providing them marketing materials that they can use. You know, I've always have thanked them by, you know, making videos for their products. You know, if you've seen the turntable shots where I've got the, you know, like the knife on the turntable, and those are me saying, hey, thank you for supporting me. Here's something I can do for you. And
excellent.
Since they've seen a good return from me, then it's no question when I need something, they're all on top of it for me. So and
awesome. Yeah, those videos aren't cheap neither. If you want to, you know, demo a product with good video work,
yeah,
you're getting these angles and these lightings and this quality editing and all this stuff.
Yeah,
and just something as a knife on a tabletop, you know, companies pay a lot of money.
Yep.
For these videos. So.
And that's where, you know, sort of my day job is contracting with a lot of different companies doing that, and so I know that you know, that's something that they need and that I can provide, and sort of on the range and off the range, you know, having something to offer along with, you know, not being a dick. That's
always a plus.
It's always a plus, yeah.
We got a couple live questions here. Let me hit these. I kind of slacked on these, and I just switched over, and there's quite a bit. Ben says, "What's your thoughts on PCC division? And are you planning to shoot PCC?" So you did.
Yeah, I
mentioned
it's super fun. It's all the rage right now, and when you shoot it, you'll realize it's just, to me, it's just like shooting a rimfire rifle. I've got loads squared away where it shoots really flat, and just like my rimfire rifle, I can get rimfire rifle times out of my PCC, and it's fun. I mean, that's why the numbers are exploding, because it's extremely fun to shoot.
Yep. Josh says, can't wait to join you next year, Trenton. See you in a couple months in Idaho.
Oh yeah, he's talking about Europe. He wants to go to Europe next year, and Idaho is one of my matches coming up end of July. That's a big match, the Taxol. It's in Idaho, so it's a big Taxol match. All the Taxol team will be there, and usually the competition is stiff. That's one of the harder rimfire matches to place at. I've even still have failed to this day to medal there. It's always, one year I got food poisoned, and another year I had 2 brain farts where I started with I shot a mag dry and started the string, click, the loudest sound at the range. There, start with the click.
Yeah,
I did that twice.
Someone's asking about the Carbon Arms AR-15 22 LR upper. I just went to the Carbon Arms website. They still do have them. They are in stock. I will put a link over in the live chat, and go to carbonarms.us if you guys don't see this link, if you're not in the live chat and just listening to the show at a later date. Carbonarms.us, go to their AR-15 upper parts, and it is there. So take off your AR-15 223 upper, slap on the 22, and you're ready to rock.
Yeah, hit up the steel challenge.
Yeah,
because that's probably the easiest way to go, because everybody's got an AR, so just throw a conversion on there. The other easiest way, everybody's got a 1022 for the most part. That's up until this year I was 1022. This year I'm using the custom Team Taxol X ring, but there's nothing wrong with the 1022. You can soup it up with a Taxol barrel and put all the goodies on it, make it just like my X ring, and go real far with that.
Yeah. He says, my Ruger Mark doesn't pick up the first round sometimes. Press checks needed.
Yeah.
I like to try some Norma, but it's mostly big old American Eagle boxes for me.
Yeah, that's common. A lot of people like American Eagle, and CCI standard. I mean, pretty much anything you grab. I mean, until you get to like a big tournament, that's really when you're going to need the Norma. Pretty much anything will do. Just like I was saying, with any kind of gun, just get out there and shoot. There's no substitute for trigger time and practice. Just grab whatever you got, spend most of your money on ammo, and just get out there and just make them all count. And that's the best way to go.
He also says, lastly here from our live chat comments, he says, tapered barrel is old school cool. Hope they make a Mark IV with it.
Yeah, it is. That's where too, it's cool to go out there. Like when I take my revolver out to play USPSA, it's fun going out there with sort of what people think is inferior equipment and beating people up.
Yeah, every time I see a dude running a revolver in action pistol sports, I'm like, dude, that dude's a badass, because I'm not putting in the time to learn reloads on no damn revolver.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then like the really fast revolver shooters, man, they are just they're humble pie chefs. Everywhere they go, they're just serving it up.
And there's dudes out there that their reload on a revolver is faster than your semi-auto reload.
Oh yeah. So, we got a bunch of guys on Team Hogue that are like basically revolver bosses, and they're really well known for shooting revolver.
Everybody's seen Jerry's reloads on a revolver, but there's a lot of guys that are on the Smith & Wesson shooting team and stuff like that can really, really, you look at their reload and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Faster than my Glock reloads?
Michael Poggi, he's on Team Hogue with me. He just won the Revolver Nationals. Well, he's at the World Speed shooting in rimfire pistol open, a 617 revolver, right? And he beat me with that thing. and he was rocking it super hard and posted super fast score. I forget I think it was like a 74 or 75, just ridiculous time with the revolver, and that's super cool. That's like super cool to me.
And you let me know how correct this is, because I'm not really super deep with the rimfire community. I mean, I'm obviously part of some Facebook groups, and I know some of the shooters and following some of them on social media. But it seems like this niche, the rimfire community of companies.
Mm-hmm.
You always hear of the lube wars, like my lube's better than yours, my lube's better than yours, and it's like people start bashing each other's companies that are competitors. But it seems like the rimfire companies, they're all like one family. You look at your jersey, or you look at some of these jerseys, they got Tandemkross and Stiflin, and all these guys make parts. They're kind of like the same. They make accessories for your rimfire guns.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how the hell isn't that a conflict of interest? Like, how is everybody cool with this?
Yeah,
there's no fight amongst competitors. It's like everybody's sponsored by all these different companies in the rimfire world. It's like no love.
Yeah, no, I think it's like a reflection of the type of people who are attracted to Rimfire Challenge. They're it's sort of like you're saying, it's a niche community, and I in some ways, it's I hate to use the word cult, but it's kind of like a cult, following of these diehard rimfire shooters, and I'm the worst culprit too of that. Is constantly Facebook and practice score stalking people, looking for the next guy. Who's the next guy, and the rimfire shooters are, they're very engaged on the social media. They're a very tight knit group. Everybody knows everybody, and the companies all, for the most part, all the companies get along. So you're not going to see like,
you see the Vacorson guys with the Taxol guys, with the TK guys, all in one photo, and they're sharing it amongst their. It's like, what?
Yeah,
this is the enemy.
Like Cheyenne is a Volquartsen shooter, and her little sister's a Taxol shooter. And
yeah, I mean, it's funny. I just noticed that right away with the rimfire community, that no one really, there's no drama. I mean, there's no fun.
Maybe
right
I
now.
need to be over there because I'm tired of drama.
No, okay. All right. Yeah, maybe we need to just become hardcore rimfire shooters and just,
it's definitely
different. Barrels with Taxol and TK parts, and just all put them all in one gun and just.
Yeah,
cool
the community, the rimfire community is it's pretty awesome. That all the different folks that you'll meet, sort of like me on my rimfire adventures, kind of adventuring around the U.S. They're like you show up at rimfire matches, everybody already knows everybody, and it's kind of like a more of a family reunion than and it's a lot more social and less intense. You got like in Steel Challenge, it's World Speed Shoot, it's like a pro match, and we're all sort of cutthroat competitors, and it's much more serious, But in the rimfire, rimfire challenge and shooting rimfire steel challenge, it's its own little community, and they really kind of rally behind each other, and it seems to me like they're enjoying themselves a lot more. It's less sort of overly intensely competitive.
Right.
Everybody's just out there having a good time and competing while doing that.
And it's still challenging the rimfire stuff. It's it's a great I'm going to use kind of a bad poor choice of word, but it's kind of like the gateway drug. You know what I mean? Into shooting sports. You know what I mean? And I always tell Jen when I see her kids, I'm like, that's a rimfire world junior champion right there. You have like three of them. Let's get this kid a Vacorson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, mom will have to buy him that Vacorson or Taxol premium piece of equipment, or you could just buy him like a $300 Mark Ruger or something and just have him burn it down with that.
Yeah.
But they got to have the interest. That's the thing. I can't wait, till to that point. You can get an 8-year-old girl out there, and you just work, the trigger, and to get them competent enough to get into action pistol sports. Because even as a veteran competitor, you can see some shit go wrong when you're running and gunning. You can always trip over things. If your gun handling skills aren't up to par, you can break the 180. If you do in USPSA, if you plan a reload wrong, you can easily break a 180 just by doing a reload, because you can't that gun a little bit to do your reload. If you planned it in a bad spot of the stage, you're done. That's a DQ, break to 180, or
Just make sure you teach her to look in the chamber whenever she unloads.
Oh yeah, when you're all that
and that's where these sports are the perfect place to start with like Rimfire Challenge. It's not uncommon to be out there and see like 3 generations of family, grandma, grandpa, mom and dad, and grandson and granddaughter, all in the same squad, all shooting together, having a great time. And, 3-gun, I mean, not only is that going to be incredibly expensive, but, grandma and grandpa aren't going to be out there, laying down underneath the, a wall trying to shoot a shotgun. It's just, it's
probably
not.
Probably not.
It's that's where it's a neat sort of atmosphere where you got like whole entire families and just everybody sort of having a good time rather than it's hard to explain. You got to just get out there and try it. It's I totally got hooked, and I'm gonna be doing it for a long time, hopefully till I die.
I had a couple come in on Instagram on the photo we shared. It said X-rated here says, can't listen, but can you go into dot size, target focus versus sight focus, and ammunition? So I think we talked about pretty good amount on ammunition already, but your dot size, because this is always kind of a thing, kind of a more personal preference than it seems, but you go with the 6 MOA dot, or are you going with a 3 MOA dot? What MOA dot did you find worked for you the best?
I usually use a 6 or 8. It's to me, either one will do. But any smaller than a 6, I start to kind of feel like I'm struggling to see it. And then any bigger than an 8, and it's kind of covering up plates too much. So.
Right.
But it is sort of a personal preference thing, and it sort of depends on, like, the 6. Lately I've been using the 6, and that's mostly because I'm doing Rimfire Challenge, and you don't know how far the plates are going to be, and you don't know how small the plates are going to be. So because of that, having a bigger dot sort of meant for speed. It's less, it helps you a little bit less. So I guess I'll put it this way, if it was just Steel Challenge, an 8 is great, and 6 and an 8 is great. Now for Rimfire Challenge, I would more recommend like a 6, just because the question mark of they could have smaller targets at 35 yards. And if you have a 8, you're going to have problems there. So.
I know. Yeah, Jen, anything on your end? Anything you want to throw in here? Message?
I don't think.
Okay.
It is
John?
fun. The Steel Challenges.
I wanted to mention more of the younger up-and-coming kids. So I already talked about Colby Pavlok. He's sort of the reigning king of Rimfire Challenge, and he's a big name. But there's other kids. Austin Chamberlain, he's from Missouri area out down in the south. He's coming up really fast. He's a very fast rimfire shooter. And then you got Matthew Langston. Those two are Tandemkross shooters as well. But Matthew Langston is from Ohio, and he's starting to shoot centerfire as well. And both Austin and Matthew are both shooting really fast. So I'd keep an eye out for those two. And the girls, there's, you already know Cheyenne, obviously. There's Mackenzie Bragg. She's shooting her rimfire bolter pistol and her rifle really, really fast. her uncle carts her around to matches all over the nation. Last year, I gave her uncle one of the prizes that I won in a side match. As
What was it? It was a hug stock, right? Something like
no, I gave him a Jericho. It's kind of like a CZ, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's a gun that I can't get into California, so I found a good home for it. And because I've watched her uncle cart these girls all over the place, driving them, from Indiana to Kentucky to Texas, just everywhere.
That's awesome, though.
That's awesome.
And then Emily Cutts, I gave her a PCC that I won at the U.S. Steel Shoot. She's a Tandemkross shooter, and I'd keep an eye out for her in the PCC division because there's not, I guess not yet a lot of ladies shooting PCC, although I see that changing a lot. But I think I'm still looking for the next, the ladies champion of the PCC, because I think that still has yet to be sort of solidified. If you're kind of like me, you watch the scene. I don't currently know who the fastest lady PCC shooter is.
Right.
I think there's several in contention, but I don't really know if that's sort of solidified yet. But
what I got here, I got one here from Josh again. He says, followed your advice and stocked up on some Norma TAC 22. It did well for me in the last 2 matches. We'll be running it for all big matches this year.
Yeah, see, that's more and more common. I think people are catching on that Norma's doing really well on the circuit, and it's not just me. It's there's other people, and Josh Lundy is probably the he's the only other Norma sponsored shooter, and he's a junior shooter from Washington area. He just won his I think Scholastic Action Pistol Program, the state championships. So he's doing really well, except for he just broke his wrist playing soccer. So he's going to be out for a little while, unfortunately. But he'll
another sport more dangerous than shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
And soccer, isn't it?
Yeah. He'd be a lot safer shooting guns at the shooting range. And there's a lot of in the Rimfire Challenge, there's all these kids, they're shooting really fast, and they're the next generation of Maxes and BJs and all them. It's really neat to see. You can see it that Max and BJ and KC, they're going to be around for a while, but these younger kids, they're going to give them a run for their money at some point. And Colby, I got money on Colby. He's gonna do really well, and he already is matching up really well. And he just turned 18, so
that's like in 3-gun. The kids are giving everybody a run for their money.
Yeah, it's they just got that ridiculous speed, and they're just balls out, and they're young enough to where they can keep up.
No fear, just.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm always like sort of more concerted effort and trying to be careful and just hit targets. These guys are just pedal to the metal, and they're hitting too. So that's what makes them really scary. But yeah, I'm always watching these young rimfire shooters, keeping an eye out for who's the next kid to take me out.
Yeah.
That's the bad part of rimfire challenge shooting and steel challenge shooting is you'll get served up some humble pie from some of these teenagers, so just be ready for that. I guess it happens in all the shooting sports, but boy, in rimfire challenge,
no, we need it. I mean, if we don't have that, then our sport will die,
Yeah, that's where these next generations, in judo, that they had years ago made a concerted effort to only push the elite, and they kind of left behind the youngsters. And I hate to see that same sort of thing happen to the shooting sports. If we forget about the sort of the grassroots level of the beginning shooters, then the sport will stay flat or die. Kind of like judo has suffered from that for many years, even with the MMA and the Ronda Rouseys and all that, their numbers have kind of stayed flat, and it's simply because decades ago they had put their money towards developing the elite and kind of left behind some of the younger, ushering in the younger generations. So
yeah,
I don't really see that much in the shooting sports, though.
Yeah, with MMA, I think there wasn't many top tier kind of judo guys that were in the UFC. Not that I could think of. And then Ronda came in there, as well, especially at least in the ladies division, had to defend that stuff. You know what I mean? And then I think towards the end of her career, when people started to kind of learn how to defend those throws, that's where she kind of got a little bit beat up in the end here. But I mean, she was able to she was able to throw everybody that was in that level of competition got thrown. As soon as the grappling started or anything up against the cage, it was you were going for a ride. And I know she has to weigh. She probably weighs nothing, and there's plenty of videos of her throwing a 250-pound grown ass man on the floor, just that easy.
See, but and that's where Ronda's going through, like sort of what I went through when I left judo. There's this time where, I mean, you just have to realize that being a champion is a limited endeavor. Like, you can't be champion forever and ever. That's not even what the definition of champion is. Champion is, I'm the best right here and right now, this year, whatever. But there's an expiration date for that, and when you become champion, eventually you have to come to terms with not being champion again. And that, I think, was probably one of the harder things that I had to go through in leaving judo. Like I said, I still had that burning desire to compete, but coming to terms with not being champion anymore, it's hard to explain until you kind of get into those shoes. But you go from being special to not being special anymore. Yeah, and that's something to psychologically you have to deal with and come to terms with.
Yeah, we could probably talk another hour easy on the demise of the kind of fall off between Ronda Rousey and the and the UFC and that stuff. But we're gonna go. We're gonna go to what's that, Trenton?
Oh, I was just gonna say I've been enjoying my time in the sun, because coming from judo, I know that's the time that I get to be champion is limited, and one day one of these kids are gonna overtake me, and I'll never be able to beat them again, and that's just life.
Yeah. Nope, there it is, expiration on the champion for sure. Well, you're 3-time consecutive, at least on that match. So right now you gotta just it seems like you gotta work harder, right? Now if you're 3-time, you can't go easy on it. I'm gonna just wax it next year. It's almost like you got to work harder to maintain this now, because now
there's more pressure, and there's
4 times in a row. Everybody knows you. He's 3-time consecutive. Everybody's got your eyes on you. You know what I mean? And when is he gonna screw up, or when is he gonna fall off? This little ride.
And there's other people like I was saying. These kids, they're hungry. They want it, and they've seen how well I've done marketing myself and stuff. But that they want those same things, the benefits that I've gotten, and they're probably rightfully due. They're working hard, and I'm watching. I see it. My clock's ticking. The next generation is coming. It's just a matter of time.
They're coming for you.
Good thing old age usually doesn't really, the age thing really isn't a factor in shooting sports. Most of the time, like you said, you got guys like, you got the Jerrys. I know and you said you got a guy that was like in his 70s, and we got Vince down here.
Yeah, he's in his 70s too.
Yeah, and that dude can still put on the wax. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think he beat me at that match.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's been, granted, the dude's been shooting rim. I think he was on the champion level at one point.
Yeah, so I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, he's still, in my mind, he's still a champion.
Yeah, when so you still got those dudes. So it's not really an old versus young thing. It's just who's more hungrier than.
Yeah, and who's going to do the work? You know, that's
Yeah.
a lot of these people have exactly the same skill level and speed. It's just a matter of who wants it more and who's willing to do the work.
Exactly.
And,
All righty, here. I think we're going to wrap this one up. I think we're going to take this one down to shout-outs here. Jen, we'll start off with you. What do you got?
All right. Lansing Tactical. Get it right, Anthony.
Oh, Lansing Tactical, the CAS 22. You have a 308?
I do.
Is that what you're shooting for long range, or are you shooting 223?
Yeah, no, 308.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think a 223 will go quite far enough.
I just put these things in the magazine. Check them. I don't know. There's something about that big round. Hell, on some lighting right there.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Oh,
I love that big
like the
round.
short, like the stubby ass magazines that come with it. It's awesome.
Yep. It is.
Can't wait to get glass. Can't wait to get glass. All right. Well, go ahead.
All right.
Continue
So
with yours.
Lansing Tactical, ZT Knives, Night Force, Load Up Ammunition, Sharpshooters of Augusta and Shooters of Augusta, Grizzly Targets, Lucas Oil, Proper, Carbon Arms, Samson Manufacturing, and Star Spangled Bangers and TacticalLife.net. Done. Moving on.
Nikki, you're back. Shout outs.
I was going to say, I'm so sorry, y'all. My sister just showed up with unannounced and also wants to talk to me about all of her problems. And I'm just like, okay, great.
You could be your sister. We don't know which one is which.
I honestly thought about having her sit back down and like plug in, cut the camera on and see if y'all can tell the difference. No, she just walked out the door.
Oh, damn it.
So I would have her get on. We do look just alike.
We could have had her do your shout outs and people would have probably thought it was you.
She'd probably pronounce some of these names for these
Wrong.
companies about as good as you did.
Yeah. So then we would have picked up on it.
Yeah. So, all right, real quick. Criterion Barrels, American Defense Manufacturing, Eagle Imports, which I got my new Bursa BP9cc.
What? Oh, Bursa 9 PPCC. Right on.
BP9cc concealed carry. It's okay.
Right.
You're dyslexic. It's cool. But
Yeah.
so Eagle Imports, True Spec, Pure Gold Shotgun Choke, Stage 0 Shooting Supply, Red Hill Tactical, Safari Land, the Outdoor Shop, and GPO, German Precision Optics. And I like to shout out companies that I'm not necessarily sponsored by yet, but possibly in the near future, we'll see. NRA, ZT Knives, Tough Products, Techwear, and Dangerous But Good.
You're trying to get sponsored by NRA?
No.
Awesome.
I had a good conversation with somebody out in Oregon about
I'm sponsored by NRA. I don't need no sponsor. Right? No.
No, I just like the NRA.
Yeah. Who doesn't? Right. Trenton, you're up. Shout out sponsors. What do you have?
First of all, Norma Inc. And Hogue Inc. Tactical Solutions, Hogue Knives, Altrin Gun Parts, JP Rifles, Lucas Oil, Tandemkross, Kitanica, Stripling Custom Gunworks, Hunter's HD Gold, the glasses, and and also shout out to Bull and Guga Rebus. They're up and coming things in the near future for me, but
First time I hear those.
So yeah, I have some things kind of working in the background. As always, there's always background stuff going, cogs turning. But
Good stuff. You sure you hit them all?
Yeah, I think so. Apex Tactical, and I said Altrin Gun Parts. John Altrin, he's like my coach. So got a huge shout out for him. So
Taxol, did you hit him?
Oh, Taxol, yeah. Hopefully I did. They make the best rimfire
Tandemkross and all those
firearms.
Lucas Oil?
Yeah.
Are you
Lucas
Oil. Yeah? No.
So our teammates.
I'm on there.
Who is it on Team Lucas Oil nowadays, man?
Oh, it's huge. I think that's a huge team.
I'm not on it, but I'm just saying. I mean, it seems like everybody else is. I'm just.
Yeah.
You're not a cool kid, Anthony. I'm sorry.
Lube Wars has begun.
I was going to say,
no.
Lube Wars.
My lube.
Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate everything you guys have done. It's I wanted to make sure to thank you guys. That it's I know it's taking time out of your day every week. So Huge shout out to you guys. That's
Oh, thanks.
Thank
keeping
you.
the gun community connected. I mean, this is actually a big deal. I don't know if you guys can tell. I tune in every now and then. I'm constantly, watching all media channels.
So you're a fanboy then.
Yeah, I'm like the fanboy. I'm the number one fanboy.
Well,
Oh,
ask
man.
some questions next time. Nobody ever
Yeah,
asked
I'll
any
pop
Go
in.
over on the Facebook.
not
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Don't give me more shit to do, man.
You
know?
don't want
Always-
to talk to Anthony. You want to talk to
I
me.
can't pronounce your names. All right. That's why I want to say the first one. Right. And you guys are over here wanting to put questions. Oh, whatever. I got it. I appreciate
part
the
of
questions.
Part of the fun when I love to place at matches and listen to the guys trying to struggle to pronounce my last name.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much if Anthony comes up with a nickname for you, it's probably because he doesn't know how to say your name. So he just makes it a nickname.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more easier for me to remember.
Well,
All right.
big
Shout out
one.
to my end. I'll try to run through them quickly. Subscribe to the channel. Right below the video, if you're on the YouTube side of things, you see a subscribe button at the bottom. Subscribe. Every Wednesday at 9, we do a new episode of the Shooter's Mindset. Might have some giveaways, might have some gear and cool gun videos thrown in the mix there on the channel. So subscribe and you'll be notified when those go up. Folks over at Tactical Shit, definitely check out their website. I know they always have killer coupons and deals going on. If they don't have anything, you can always use TSM10 over there. Folks over at Tandemkross too. Big fans of them. They
super
were
nice guys.
very, very nice people indeed. If you want to email me, theshootersmindset@gmail.com is a good way to do that, or you can always contact me on the Shooters Mindset website. Definitely thanks to Trenton for coming and spending seems to be almost over 2 hours. It seems that we're going on between the pre-show and the live show.
Sorry,
and
guys.
we could have kept going. We really could have. We could have went into MMA stuff and talked for an hour. We could have got probably more into the Hogue stuff.
Yep. Oh, speaking of Hogue, watch their social media. I'm doing knife giveaways to coincide with Blade Show. So if you want to win a knife, or I think there's 2 knives and a tomahawk. So they're good stuff. So hop on there and enter to win.
Indeed, there you go. Check out Hogue's social media there. It's the folks over at Snag Mag. It's a if you guys carry a spare mag and you're carrying it loose in your pocket, you're doing it wrong. Check out the folks over at Snag Mag. They have a great product for you to carry a spare magazine efficiently. Also, the folks over at Neat Square Tactical, killer concealed carry, super comfortable holsters for inside the waistband carry. They just came out with they call it their hers holster. So for the ladies, very interesting. It's kind of along the lines of all their other holsters, but I think that they made it smaller in a way where it helps the ladies conceal it better. So they're very interesting holster. Hope to get one because I got an article coming up on that. So I'm going to probably pass one of those out to one of the lady friends to hopefully give me some feedback on that.
Or
and then
all the
everybody
lady
should-
friends, so we can just try it back and forth.
Oh, I guess.
What type of gun is it?
It's a
for?
Glock 43, and I'm right-handed.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's the same
Same thing. All right, shit. There goes the giveaway on the Nate Square Tactical holsters. And thank you. All right, and that's it, folks over at Taran Tactical Innovations, always for the support, and Rand CLP, Rise Armament for the rifle stuff, and Killer 308s. Killer 308s is kind of a bad word of usage, but yeah, good 308 guns. All right, and AR-15 style guns. So we're gonna wrap this one up. Thank you guys for watching episode 181 of the Shooter's Mindset. We'll see you next Wednesday. We're out of here.